annoying. I keep on trying to turn on Guys and Dolls, and Shan makes me turn it off.
Sure. I was Nicely Johnson in high school.
You did Guys and Dolls?
We sure did. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. You're rocking the boat.
Is Nicely the larger guy? The fat guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have
As if you really needed to ask that, of course.
Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. It's like watching, yeah.
Welcome to Hey Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan.
I'm Tony.
On this show, we watch a movie. Sometimes it's a movie that we've already watched before, and then we're like, this would be a good idea if I watched a movie I didn't like again, so that I could talk about it and
force me to watch
force you to watch it, and then force us to all have to. I take the dog out. The dog's like, you're making too much noise for me to enjoy my nap.
Well, you came in hot today. I'm proud of you.
So the movie that we watched this week was Unfrosted, Jerry Seinfeld's 2024, an hour and 36 minutes. Woo!
Woof.
Felt like a lot more than that.
It sure did.
How do you say that word? Peon. Peon. Peon? I don't know how to say that word. Like his homage to breakfast, nostalgia, culture, the Pop-Tart. And I was going to start out by saying, I don't know if I hated this movie, other than this movie truly frustrated me because everything about it, not everything, almost everything about it wasn't very funny.
Or good. I think we can say that.
Or good. Okay, good. I don't know. You could have come out saying like, this movie is a perfection.
No. I did hate this movie.
Oh, you hated
it?
Okay.
For reasons that I don't think everyone else would hate it, if that makes sense.
Your own personal
hate personally offended me. But we'll get into it as we go.
Very
but
good.
It's a piece of trash. This is a piece of trash movie.
When you look at I was just reading the Rotten Tomatoes, which usually I don't put that much into them, but it is like 4 stars, 1, and I want to give it a 0. That's like it. Everybody. The best part about it is, what was this one? Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's a big old ad pushing breakfast cereals. Those are my favorite, where this movie was made to pump up Kellogg's and Kellogg's brands. Like, everyone's going to be like, I need some Apple Jacks right now.
I don't think we can get mad at this movie for product placement. I don't think that's fair, because it's literally what it's about, guys. You can't go into a movie called Unfrosted about the beginnings of Pop-Tarts and be like, there's too much consumerism in this movie.
This movie about the development of the Nike Air Jordan, it's almost like they are pushing Nike down our throats. It's like,
and they did.
Aren't they?
And I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I'll tell you, Air is still my favorite movie of last year.
Wow.
And I wrote about that. That's one of my 4 notes. I wrote 4 total notes on this, and one of them is about Air, not even necessarily about this movie.
6. Yeah,
I can't believe that, Dan.
7 pages of notes.
I don't even know what you could possibly have written down. I can't wait to find out.
I could probably spend, you and I, if we wanted to make one of those shows where we pull out each clip, this whole movie, I think, needed to be dissected, because I think the script is terrible. From the plot and then the jokes. I just like
plot.
Every joke and almost every joke in this thing, you're just like, why didn't you improve that joke? Every joke felt like
it's a first draft.
They just wrote down a joke and they're like, there it is.
That's it.
Done.
Yeah, we're just going to keep that. There's no punch up of the script. That's why it felt like a first draft script, and they were just like, yeah, let's just shoot it. I don't know. Shoot the rehearsal, everybody.
Yeah, that's what this movie felt like. And the people that like this movie like it because it does a thing that we in the business, which is not really a thing, it's just reference comedy. They're like, if I say, if I show, the Toucan Sam with Cedric's head and then he's singing Ave Maria, that's funny because it's Toucan Sam with this thing that's a little different, and that's the joke. And then you're just like,
it's not really a joke.
No, it's not a joke because those things do not connect in any way, shape, or form. They're just two things that you've put out there. And I mean, yeah, if you think it's cool to see somebody in a Toucan Sam outfit, you're like, oh, that's cool. Look at that. That's cool. Okay.
Sure.
There's Hugh Grant's inside the Tony the Tiger costume. Oh, that's great. It's Hugh Grant inside it. Oh, okay. I get it. Oh, he's going to put on Lear at Kellogg's. Oh, I get it. That's funny. He's a guy that does this, but he also does that. And so I can see how people who aren't going to really delve into the comedy could sit there and go like, oh, it's an hour and a half of my life, and okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's what is the word? Unoffensive? It's an unoffensive.
Innocuous.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, exactly. And so like I'm not, if you enjoyed it and were like, it's fine. That's a fine movie. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's totally okay. You're wrong. It's not a fine movie because it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
This is a general story, not the actual plot of the movie. General story. I enjoy the idea of making up half, 2/3, 3/4, whatever of the history of Make It. That's all fun. I can have a good time with that. The idea to make it slightly irreverent, I'm on board. Like there are things that you started to do correctly and then just, I don't know if you got lazy, you got rushed. I don't know. They just kind of quit. They quit on everything. And then they hired a bunch of comedians who can't act for shit instead of hiring actors to do comedy. And that is the biggest problem I have with this movie. What's the best part of this movie to you? Do you have like a thing that you were like, oh no, I did enjoy that?
I mean, do you want me just to list off what I liked in this movie?
Yeah. If you have something.
I liked the Quaker Oats guy.
Yep.
I liked Bill Burr as JFK.
Sure.
You were just like, this guy can do no more wrong. He's very funny. He delivered lines.
Bill Burr.
What's his name is Jack LaLanne. I thought was really good and underutilized. I thought he was wasted. I thought
sure.
Christian Slater as the milkman was wasted. You're just like, oh my God, Christian Slater.
Hugely.
I want to see this. And then lastly, what's his name as the head of the milk guys, criminally underused.
Peter Dinklage. Yeah.
Peter Dinklage.
Half of those are real actors.
Yes, all the real actors came on there and were like giving you real stuff.
Yep.
And then the real comedians didn't. Well, but then the comedians didn't have anything to do because.
I disagree.
Oh, you think that they could have delivered this terrible material better and it would have been good?
Not good.
Okay.
It never. The script is not good. Let's be very, very clear. But let's take a look at Gaffigan. Right, Gaffigan is doing a caricature of a caricature. It's not a character. There's no realism. He's just doing, I'm going to put on a funny little deep voice and that'll be the whole idea I do for this guy. What is that? That's like, it's like bad sketch comedy. That's like you go to an open mic night and you see a sketch group that is a piece of shit and you're like, okay, that guy's just putting on a voice and you think that's a character. Great. Garbage, absolute garbage. And if you have a real actor in that role, some of those lines would be funny.
But that was one of the things that was annoying to me is you had Melissa McCarthy and you had Gaffigan, who I think can both act. I've seen Gaffigan act somewhere. I'll seen him somewhere act? I thought I've seen him.
I'm sure you have. Listen, I'll believe you because I'm not a huge Gaffigan fan, so I don't follow his career. But I will tell you that he was trash. What's her name? Amy? She's trash.
Oh, Amy Schumer just like
Amy Schumer's just can't.
It was
first of all, I don't think she can act. Let me just be very clear. And she's doing like a weird, like one of I don't even know what she's doing. It's terrible. It's really bad. She's really just like, oh, I'm the evil character. I'm gonna say things with a smirk and be like, oh, I'm mean. Awful. Just like it's not. There's no character. There's nothing. If you get a real actor in that role,
maybe
still not funny. I'll be honest, but at least it's believable.
Maybe,
which is a huge step up. So for me, what I was going to say, my favorite parts of the movie, right? Hugh Grant is my favorite part of this movie.
Really?
Again, he's not given a lot to do, but there are moments in this movie, like his very first scene when they give him the line reading, and he goes, "Are you giving me a read.
Well,
I was like, that's so good.
That was a good joke, though.
It's a good joke, and he delivers it well. And it's like, this is the combination of things you need for this kind of movie, because it's a silly movie, but to ground a silly movie, you need good performances.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah. Well,
anyhow,
I mean that bit, he's like, so he's doing the Tony Tart commercial, and he's, the guys tell him how to do it. He's like, "You're giving me a read." That should have then followed up with 3 more lines, right? You're just like, here.
They don't build anything.
No, they'll throw a line out there, and then it's like, bye-bye.
Let it die.
We've left the room.
Yep.
We're walking away. Okay, good. That's over. We got through that. This whole movie is like, we got through that. Let's move on. We better not spend any time exploring what is fucking good in this movie.
Correct. And didn't Seinfeld write this?
He and a couple other guys wrote this during the pandemic. Yeah.
Because it feels like there's very little joke structure, which is surprising to me.
It's terrible.
Like, there's a point where they're listing off at the awards, they're listing off breakfast cereals. And there's like a real kind of cereal and then a joke cereal, and then we're done.
They're doing okay. Well, let's talk about the movie because I've written down every joke that failed.
Okay, you wrote
the movie,
down
just about.
I'll hit my my 4 notes as they come along.
So we start up. Here's this kid packing up his belongings in a to abandoned home to run away. Did you write down you remember what he put in there?
No.
He put a slinky.
Was it all toys?
Yes, of course it was all toys.
Yeah.
It was a slinky. Well, it wasn't all toys. A slinky, a G.I. Joe, a comic book, pocket knife, a rubber ball, 5 Bazooka Joe bubble gums, and a whoopee cushion. This is not a kid.
Nope. This is
not a kid.
This is a grown man. Yeah.
This is a man saying, "What are kid things that we could?"
Yep.
And then the last one will be the joke, which is the whoopee cushion.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like,
yeah. But the good news is, Dan,
is
that there's no reason for him to run away, and he doesn't run away. So really, the whole thing means nothing. So that's the good news. Is it's totally for nothing anyhow.
So he goes. And what does he immediately do while he's running away?
He stops at a diner that I think is probably 10, 15 feet away from his house. I can't tell, but I don't think he went very far.
Goes to a diner, and what does he do?
He sits down next to an old man.
Sits down next to Jerry Seinfeld, and what does he order?
Oh, he ordered something. I don't even remember that, to be honest with you.
2 Pop-Tarts and leave the box.
Can you get Pop-Tarts in a real restaurant?
I
feel like no.
No, in a diner, maybe. Probably not,
okay.
But maybe. I've never seen it.
Okay.
I've never heard of it. They didn't package Pop-Tarts for sale as a thing. And, because, in a diner, you'd have that Kellogg's rack, which would have the snack packs.
Sure.
And they've always serviced that kind of thing. Did they service this kind of thing with Pop-Tarts? Not really.
Okay. Interesting.
Because a Pop-Tart is not a thing you want to give to someone, right? A Pop-Tart is a thing where you have to carefully get it to where you want it, and then you have to eat it just right, and you'll burn yourself. It's not a product that you're going to trust. A diner is going to trust to put out there because they're going to burn people's mouths, and it's going to lead to a negative experience. You just remind me
of one of my least favorite jokes in the movie, by the way, which we'll get to later, but put a pin on someone else making your own Pop-Tarts. But I guess it's weird because he didn't have any money.
No.
He didn't put any money in his little satchel, right? Okay. So what is the movie trying to say here, where the kid ran away from home, went to a diner very close to home, sat next to a creepy old man, and then ordered Pop-Tarts? What do you think they're trying to say with this scene? Exactly. Nothing. It's absolutely nothing. There's no reason for this to be in the movie. It means absolutely nothing. I don't even know why this is here.
Well, it's so you have some bookends so he can be telling the story, as opposed to showing him driving into Kellogg's the first morning and telling the story.
Hey, these are the characters. Let's meet them. Nope.
We're meeting a character that means nothing. We're setting up a narrative device that means nothing.
Yep.
And is unnecessary and doesn't make sense.
And our movie is still only 96 minutes long, and the tops and tails mean nothing, so that's 8 minutes gone already.
And we have a whole dance scene at the end of all the people that were in the movie.
Which, by the way, I enjoyed a lot.
Which they're having more fun doing that than they had 100%. In the movie.
100%. And that was my whole thought during this scene, because that's my last note of the thing is this is the best part of the movie. Everyone looks so happy. They must not have seen the movie. That's what I said.
Yeah. So Jerry says, tough day. And the kid says, you don't want to know. So he picks up the box, and on the box, it talks about how grandma invented Pop-Tarts. And then he's like, that box back is a lie. That stuff is baloney. And the kid's like, well, how do you know that? He's like, because I write what's on those boxes. Do you want to hear the real story? The kid says, nope. And he's like, come on, it's a good one. All right, make it quick. Now, in every movie, when someone says no to something, you have to give them a reason why they then will change their mind, as opposed to, come on, just listen to me. Okay, now I'll listen to this.
I'm an old man. I want to tell my story.
Right? Yeah, it's like when the government comes to pick up Rambo to go have him do the thing. He has to say no, and then they have to come back again later, and there has to be some change. The call to action has to be predicated on something. But instead, it's like, I'm just going to ask you a second time. And on the second time, you'll say yes, right? Oh, yes. You asked me a second time. Now I'm saying yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great writing. No. Also, I just want to point out, Dan, I don't think he writes what's on the back of the boxes. I think that's an entirely different department. So I think that's a lie.
Once again, we don't know what this guy does.
What his job
is. He product development? Is he the guy that writes copy? Is he the guy that makes every decision? No. Is he the guy that does he fire the mascots? We don't know what he does, because he just does whatever the scene is necessary for him to do. Yeah. Hence another problem. He has no emotional investment on what's going on in this movie.
Even if he did, Jerry couldn't act it, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so we started out. We go back to his thing. Here's our milkman. He's named Mike. He's a swell guy. Okay. Yeah. Come back to that. Put a pin in that.
Okay.
Drives to work. Here's Kellogg's there against Post. Boom. Beautiful Tony the Tiger statue. Not as beautiful Snap, Crackle, and Pop statue. The building they're going to is the University of Irvine administration building, which is where I went to college. So I was like, hey, I know what that building is.
Oh, can I? That's fun.
And boom, that's where it is. That's why it looks good, because it looks old.
Sure.
He goes in, he meets the main Kellogg's guy, Edsel, played by, what was his name? You said his name. Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, that's how much I'm paying attention. I was like, I don't know who you're talking about, Dan.
So he meets him, and he goes down to where they're shooting the Tony the Tiger commercial. Talk to me about the mascot costumes.
Oh, you don't like them?
They look like trash.
I mean, they look cheap.
They look cheap.
Is that what they looked like? So this is a real question that I had, because I wasn't alive when this movie took place, Dan, unlike some people on this podcast. So I'm just wondering, did they look terrible?
Well,
then?
They didn't really do mascot costumes like that. Then he would have never appeared in a commercial.
Interesting.
He is the voice of an animated character.
So they never did live action of these?
I mean,
so this whole movie's a lie?
I mean, I'm sure at some point in the 80s they started having a Tony the Tiger mascot costume walking around. But Thurl Ravenscroft is an animated. He's a voice actor. He's not. I mean, maybe he was a real actor too. But we all know him from his voice acting, which was Tony the Tiger, 100%. The voice of the Haunted Mansion. All sorts of stuff Thurl did, and which is great, absolutely amazing. But instead, we're putting him in this costume because we need to have him standing there, as opposed to him, looping to a commercial where everything was already written. So and that's the whole.
You wouldn't really put him in the suit, full stop, because he can't deliver the line in the suit because it sounds muffled. That's just science,
And so we let this stuff go, but the suit just looks it looks cheap.
It does look cheap. I honestly thought, I just assumed that they were making a joke on how they used to look. That was just an assumption I made as a modern viewer, but apparently I'm wrong. So that makes it much weirder for me that then they chose to make them look like shit. I thought it was a joke. Which I don't know. That's too bad. It would have been a good joke if they were making fun of how they used to look, and that was a real thing.
I mean, not in my experience. So boom, he's trying to figure out the line, and he takes his head off, and he's like, and then Jerry's like, "This is a great commercial. We got the best writers in the business." Cut to these three sad people on the couch, and I'm like,
doing nothing.
This is gonna be interesting to see how he interacts with his writers, which never see him again.
Nope.
And then somehow we get it. Somebody says about them, they're great. And then they're like,
well, Hugh says it. Hugh Grant says it, which is weird because he was just complaining about the line. So he doesn't think those guys are great. But then, I didn't really understand the sequence of events here.
You would see that the kernel of the idea person, we never figure out who the idea person is.
Yeah.
And so it's not really Jerry's character, and they kind of make it that they're not idea people.
Yep.
But he can spot the idea when it comes across there, but he can also not spot the idea. It's like...
You can just totally miss it, yeah.
You need to make a decision as to, like, who's good at their job.
Oh, you mean define a character?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, that'd
be so weird.
That would have been interesting if they'd have defined this character as a character that has strengths and whatnot.
Because he never really does anything. He gets other people to do stuff, which is, I guess, in a way, a strength, sort of. But we don't really utilize it. I don't know.
So he does the line. They're great. Everyone claps. He does a bit about how it's hot in the costume. And then Jerry says, "Oh, we'll do something in the lab." And then Jerry leaves. And then,
I do like the hot in the costume joke, by the way.
Oh.
It did make me laugh.
And then he's like, "I'll do something in the lab." And then he walks away. And then he's like, "Where's the lab?" to a random person. He's like, "There's no lab." So
there is no lab.
So he just lied to him.
Just straight to his face.
Which, if you have a character that's lying to people's face, straight to their face, that is a character trait. You must repeat that. Repeat again and again and again.
No. Just the one time, Dan.
Just one time.
Just this one time. Don't worry about it.
Then as he's walking, the assistant lady comes over there and they talk about how Fruit Loops suck. And so he's like, "Oh, double the sugar, double the gluten."
I don't know. Is that a joke? Is that funny? I don't.
Well, he said the word gluten.
So that's funny.
Yeah, that's a joke. See, that's a joke.
Oh, cool. Nice.
If you say a word like woke or gluten, those are jokes. Those are called jokes, Tony. You wouldn't know that.
It's funny when you say it because you say gluten. You almost make it 3 syllables. Gluten. I like that.
Gluten. And now this is, you're kind of cruising along at this point. You're like, I don't know. And then
you're waiting for it to like start. You're like, okay, this is all a preamble to something. They're cruising through this just so they can get to nothing. Is it, as it turns out? But you're waiting for it to start.
There's the Seinfeld thing. It's a movie about nothing, and it
really is.
There's a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Well, somebody said that it feels like a bunch of connected sketches. And it's kind of like every little bit is a premise sketch that doesn't ever get off the ground. So here's a premise sketch, and we're not going to explore it. It
establishes the premise, but doesn't play the game of the scene. Mm-hmm. It never does. And that's one of 2 things that frustrates me so much about this movie. They never play their own games. They set up a game and they don't play it. Yeah. And 2, they hired a bunch of people that can't act.
That is the true problem with the movie. And it gets tiresome if you're looking at it that way. You know, if you consider the game just being referencing the past and showing colorful things and people having light problems.
It is colorful.
You're okay. It's very well lit, and you get to see stuff, and you're like, okay, but these endless games just they don't take them anywhere, and it's sad. And this was the one that this was the one that killed me. Snap, Crackle, and Pop come up, and they're like, you need the guys that appear as them, and they're like, you need us, and we're opening grocery stores, and then he's all like, I can get rid of you, and oh no. They're like, we need more. We need a surfing movie. What's the name of the surfing movie that they want to do?
I didn't write it down. It was something like Crackle Surfs Up. I don't know. It was something dumb.
Crispy Boys Surfing Along.
There you go.
That is their joke title.
Yeah.
And this is actually my thing that I probably hated the most about the movie was the weakness of the naming of things.
Which is, yes, I agree 100% because you are creating these names as jokes. And this goes to the later scene that I want to talk about, which is where they set up a list sketch and don't do the list sketch. But it's just like, it's like they don't care. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's just like the joke. They think the joke is giving something a name as opposed to the name itself.
Yeah.
Right? It's so weird.
It's really painful. Crispy Boys Surfing Along. It doesn't mean anything. And if you
delivered that, Dan, if you delivered that on stage, it would be dead silent. It would be dead silent. You know what they needed to do? Jerry needed to take this on the road and put it up on stage to be like, okay, so these jokes don't work. Let's start all over again. But they did not.
If you did that at a table read, no one would read.
Oh my God, the room would be silent. Everyone would get fired on that table read.
When we used to do our sort of reads in the sketch class, what I would do is I'd have my script, and then every time people laughed, I would just put an L. You put a little mark by everything, and then you know that you don't suck.
Well, yeah. Also, it tells you like because you know what jokes you wrote, and I just did a check mark. That was my thing. I would check mark. If it worked, I would check mark it. If it doesn't work, I underline it. You know. So you know what to punch up and what to change.
And if you did this whole script in front of a room of remove the comedians that are in this movie, they would not be laughing at any of these things. Never.
Including their own jokes.
And that's if you're not laughing at your own stupid jokes, that is a problem.
It's a problem. Yeah, it's a big problem.
So he's like, I'm going to fire you. I'm going to add boing and it's going to split your check. Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Stupid. Boom.
It then never comes. This mentality never comes back later.
Not really.
Like we are defining this character. He lied to Tony the Tiger. He threatens Snap, Crackle, Pop. And then, so you kind of think, okay, this is the kind of guy we're going to deal with. And then you don't.
No, he's not a giant dick. And
it's super weird.
Well, it's your classic case of, I want to be a dick to be funny, but I'm not really a dick.
I mean, I guess.
Because I'm not a character. I don't exist as a thing.
Well, yeah, I'm not a thing.
Okay, now we have the serial awards show. We meet Post.
Finally.
We meet what's his name, who's her assistant, who has a few lines every once in a while.
From the neighborhood and New Girl.
He's funny.
He's great. I wish that he had someone better to play off of than Amy Schumer because together it's just you know what I mean? Terrible.
Amy Schumer's character generally wants to go like this. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
But she doesn't even. I just gave more of a performance than she did. If she did this, I am not listening to you. Why would I listen to you?
Yeah.
It's like, just give us a read. Give us something.
Yeah. Anything.
She's just like,
just anything.
I'm not listening to you. Whatever. She's not even doing that. She's not even doing that much.
So Max is just like, he's basically playing to a wall, but worse because it's a human and he's trying to pull something out and he just can't.
So the Quaker Oats man comes over there. He's dressed as the Quaker Oats man and he's all like, his name is Isaiah.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's just like,
and he's great.
He's very, very funny.
And why is he so funny? Other than he's funny, but like he's committed to a character. His jokes are all in character. His lines are all in character. He is a character delivering jokes. And it's great. And he's totally underutilized. We needed at least 2 or 3 more scenes with him, I thought.
And he comes back in maybe one time.
Yeah.
So boom, we start giving the awards. The awards are like best new character and then best use of niacin are the 2 we hear as the, And
also there was one that's like best wax bag or something like that. Easiest bag to open.
wax bag.
Yeah.
These are not jokes. These are not funny. You know, Jerry's like, niacin, that's in cereal. What's niacin? I don't know what that is. Best use of niacin becomes what's supposed to stand in as a joke.
Yep.
But the post table is over there, and they're happy, and Kellogg's is winning everything, and they stand on stage and jump like this. Woo, we won everything. And then they have all the awards on their table, and they're like, why are they happy? Then we do the in memoriam thing, and we get 2 cereals that are Wilt Chamberlain's, which looks like Wheaties, so it's Wilt Chamberlain, which I didn't get that joke at all. I don't know. He didn't die in 1963. I don't believe.
No, but he was a great basketball player. So I don't think, in my mind, this was the real cereal, like the calm before the storm. So this is like, it's a kind of a real cereal because the Wheaties is always the breakfast of champions. So you put on the best basketball player of that era.
That means, but you see, it's in memoriam, so it's a cereal that died.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I just thought of it as a list sketch of funny cereal names.
Okay, no.
And it does not deliver on that.
No.
So it goes one that I consider a relatively real cereal. Right?
Seems real.
And then the next one is not a real cereal. Something about Grandma's Holes.
Grandma's Holes.
Which made me chuckle. And I was like, okay, what's the next one? And we cut away to a different scene.
Well, we cut away to the Quaker guy, and on the box it says, have a bowl of my holes, which is rude. Which it's still funny. I mean, I don't think it's funny, but it's like,
sorry, maybe not funny, but it's at least an attempt at a joke.
It is a joke.
Yeah,
there it is. It's an actual joke. And then the Quaker guy is crying, ostensibly because he knew Grandma, or he's old, or he's going to die. We don't know why he's.
I don't know.
And that's it.
And then that's it. Well, there's no other. Like, I thought this was going to be a 5 or 6 funny, getting wackier cereals.
Nope.
And it's not.
Nope.
It's 2 cereals and then you're done and you're out. And I don't get it. It perfectly sums up the whole movie to me. Is they set up a premise and then they just abandon it immediately.
A very classic comedic sketch. I mean, I know Johnny Mankey did one. Is you have the ad guys come in there and pitch the thing, and it's a 5-minute sketch, and they just keep pitching things that get crazier and crazier and crazier until they pick a crazy one, or something happens and that gets you out of it.
Yeah.
But this movie, it's like, we're going to do 20 seconds of a sketch
and then leave them wanting more. Is that the idea? Maybe that's their idea. Maybe they're like, you know what? I figured it out. This is like a Zack Snyder push. They're going to release the Seinfeld cut of Unfrosted with 20 minutes of additional jokes that weren't in the original cut.
Now we're going to get to the scene which is the reason why we're talking about this movie.
Oh, okay. What's the next scene? I wish I took more notes.
I was not going to do this because I watched this movie and I was like, whatever. Yeah. I didn't like it, but I didn't. Shannon will say he didn't complain about it that much. Usually, if it's a bad movie, she gets a lot of complaints. Pre-complaints before we do the show.
Makes sense. Yeah, you got to practice your material. I get it, dude.
So here comes Bob. He's coming to work. He sees these 2 kids climb into the post-cereal dumpster. Then he sees the trash truck coming up to empty the dumpster. He does nothing.
Yep. Just watches it happen.
Happen. Doesn't get out of his car and say, hey, there's kids in that dumpster.
There's children in that dumpster. Don't dump it into your dump truck.
Oh, yep. This is a post-cereal dumpster. The trash truck comes there, flips them over. We see the kids fall into the back, and then they sort of work their way through it sort of with the camera. Then the kids, they get out, and then they run to another dumpster in the back, and then they jump into that. Jerry pulls up to the trash truck, and he says, who are those kids? To the trash truck guy, who we're assuming has not seen the kids, but instead...
But you're wrong, because it turns out he did see them and just didn't care that he threw them in the truck, but continue.
And he says, what's with those kids? And he's like, they come for the goo! They come for the goo! He goes over to that other dumpster they jumped into. There's another post dumpster. And it is still full of trash.
Yeah. But the trash truck left.
Wouldn't it have emptied all the trash things?
You would think so, but maybe he's like one a day. Every other day he comes and takes out. I don't know.
So the kids are like, you got to try this. It's like hot fruit lightning. And it's a piece of, it looks like a Pop-Tart with some jelly on it. He changes it. He tastes it and it changes him. And he rushes back to Kellogg's and he's like, Post has a fruit-filled pastry. And then he's like, but I thought we already did that. It was a dead end. And then he's like, Post must have cracked it.
Yep.
What is this?
I don't know. You said this was your favorite scene in the movie.
No, this is the thing that made me want to talk about this movie because I'm just like, I don't understand anything. Why are these kids going through a trash truck? What does that mean?
Because they're so addicted to the goo.
They're committed to the goo. Well, then they'd be
so
jumping
committed.
into the trash. Then they should be in the trash truck, continuing to harvest the goo.
Sure.
And then he's driving behind. He's like, "What are you kids doing? Why are you in there?"
But also, they're not. They're just eating some of it. They're not like collecting it. They're not. You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't they be like collecting it for later or something, as opposed to just like they're just sitting in there eating it? And there's a funny line. One of the kids is like, "Oh, we're not." I don't know what he says. We have a perfectly normal home or something like that.
Yeah,
but
we're not poor, basically.
Yeah, but like, okay, but where are your parents then? Why are you in a trash? Like, I don't know, man. None of it makes a lick of sense.
And none of it was funny.
No. But that, to be fair, that's just the whole movie. So it's unfair to point to this scene as less funny than the rest of the scenes, unless some of the people that we mentioned previously were on screen. So I don't know, Dan. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know where this idea would have come from, and I don't know who would have been like, "Yeah, this is good. This is what we need as the catalyst to you finding out that they have a fruit-filled pastry."
But this is how they find out, and so boom,
it's great stuff.
We go back there, So we continue on with Jerry and Jim Gaffigan, and then we talk about how Kellogg's owns the awards. One of them has to explain to the other that they own the award. Oh, Jerry has to explain it that they own the awards, and he pays them off. And I forgot that. You're like, what? Why are you telling us this? What does it matter?
It doesn't make any sense. Nope.
So boom, they're like, oh my God, now Post is going to be the new king. And so Jerry's like, I'm not going to be able to send my kids to college, and I'm not going to be able to ... What was his dream? What is the thing that he loses if they fail?
Carnival Cruise.
Nope.
I don't know.
I need to have a lawn. Edsel says,
he wants sod.
I gotta get sod. So this one line in here, which is ostensibly the most important line of the movie, which is, what is your character's motivation?
Your character's want.
Yep. What is his want? His want is he needs a sod lawn. And we see a couple more times during the stupid movie, his lawn is kind of fucked up, and he looks at it sadly, and then at the very end, he gets sod. And in none of those scenes does the audience go, "Oh man,
I wish he had a better yard.
I wish he had a better yard. This poor guy." And when he gets the sod, we don't go, "He finally got the sod." It happened.
Nope.
Never. We don't. They're inconsequential scenes that don't make any sense because this line doesn't make any sense, and because this guy makes tons of money.
So much money. Yeah. I mean, they've been top of the crop for years. That's what they said, right? Like, they've been the king, so shouldn't he already have sod? They're not working their way up.
Nope.
They're at the top, and they're worried they're going to fall.
Yep.
That's not the same.
And so his thing can't be a money motivated thing. It can't be.
Yeah.
He has to have a real reason why. My dad, blah, blah, blah. If I'm not number one, then I'm number two. And number two is, you do the steak knives. Number three, you're fired. You got to, it has to be that, use that joke. You use other jokes like that badly. Oh.
Ain't that the truth?
And
And it's weird because at some point, the two owners of Kellogg's and
Miss Post,
they're like, "Oh, we inherited these businesses," which is actually one of my favorite one of my favorite jokes is that they keep reminding each other that they inherited the business, they didn't build the business. Maybe something along those lines. Maybe somewhere in there is where, because you're trying to prove yourself, because you inherited a great business, so now you got to, build it more. Do something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Well,
here,
and you say it correctly, because if Jim Gaffigan's character at that point, if we really believed that it meant something to him, we never really believe it means anything to him. Never,
well,
not for a
unfortunately, he's incapable of showing feelings because of his caricature of a caricature is very one note through the whole movie. There's no levels to this guy.
Wait. Well, okay, we'll fix it.
Yep. I hate
okay, we have the first of the Walter Cronkite scenes. Walter Cronkite. Do you know who Walter Cronkite is?
I know who he is, but I don't understand what we're saying. So I don't understand what we're doing with his toys. I don't get it.
In each Walter Cronkite scene, he pulls out a vintage toy and then sort of plays with it, and sometimes it has a small effect on what's happening, and then he makes a joke about his home life being hard or him being a drunk. Okay.
Was he famously in a bad marriage or something?
Nope. He's the most trusted man in America, is Walter Cronkite.
Right. Well, so the only reason I know is from the newsroom. Yep. If you remember that show, they just talk about him. Like, no, I know Walter Cronkite. Like, I understand who he is. Yep. I've never watched any segments that he did 100 years ago, because it's before my time. But I just don't understand. I understand less even now the jokes. They don't make any sense.
They don't make any sense. The toy thing doesn't make any sense. It's just it's a bridging thing to get us to the next scene. But for some reason he uses a toy because the final toy he uses actually plays some part in the plot. And then he does.
They did?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the silly putty.
The silly putty.
God, yeah, no, I remember now.
Okay, we do a Chester Slink thing. Then we do a thing about them doing research and how they stole research from each other. I'm not even going to go into all that.
Well, because that's like your move. Like, you have to make a decision, right? Yeah. That's a huge thing. So them stealing your research has to have more of an effect on the movie, other than, well, that's how they did it, and now we're going to move on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we don't deal with corporate espionage at all, other than this one string of scenes. Which I'll admit, I did chuckle at the cameras.
The cameras were funny.
I thought those were very funny.
Joke.
But now we just move on.
Yeah, forget about it. Gone.
You can't. I don't get it. Like, you have to live in it. You've set up the reality where you're doing corporate espionage. Why is that gone all of a sudden for the rest of the movie?
So she's like, okay, we got to do this. We do this little sardine thing where it's rotten and everyone throws up and gooey is really weird.
I didn't get it.
Oh, there's nothing to get because it's not a joke.
Man, all right.
And then so now it gets so Jerry. He's like, well, we need to get Stan back because things worked when we had Stan. And he's like, oh, not Stan. You can't work with her. And then he's like, oh yeah, of course I can work with her because we have this veto system, which is a thing they do kind of once, and we never hear about it again. And they never have any trouble working together.
They have no issues. They're best friends. They see each other. They work together wonderfully. They're best friends for the whole movie. Why even just be like, yeah, she left for a better job, and we don't know if we can get her back, and we have to woo her back or something. Why set up this weird relationship where you can't work together?
And a system, the veto system, that we see one time.
Just don't use. And it's also not funny. And it's not used as a joke. What is oh God, this movie is so frustrating, Dan.
And then Edsel says, our company's on the verge of collapse.
Is it?
Nope.
Well, how could it be? I don't understand. You're doing great. You're great. Nailed it.
So he goes to get Stan. She's at Cape Canaveral. We do some bits with some alien things, which you don't even think about them.
Dan, I have a question for you.
Ask me about aliens.
No, it's not about. I could ask you a lot of questions about that scene. This is about real world.
We did land on the moon. It's real.
Okay, that is part of what I'm asking. When was that, and when was this movie? This is before the moon landing.
Yeah, I think we landed on the moon in '69 because I watched it when I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah. All right. because they're making jokes about like, oh, we'll never get to the moon, and I wasn't sure if they're just making a joke because we do get to the moon, or if they're making
we got to the moon.
No, I know that, Dan.
Do you?
I'm saying I don't understand the jokes of the movie with these aliens, and then they make the joke where they're like, "We'll never get to the moon." Ha 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 ha. Are they saying we faked the moon landing? Because that's what I was trying to understand.
A moon landing. That was a fake moon landing.
Okay, that's what I thought. I don't.
So Stan is squishing Twinkies, and then she's squishing Twinkies in a bowl, and then she holds up a finished product of Twinkies in a tube, like toothpaste. Which sounds delicious to me.
I'm just like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm into it. I would honestly just suck that tube right down. Done and done. It's delicious.
And how does Bob arrive at the place?
Which one's Bob?
That's
Gaffigan?
Jerry Seinfeld.
That's Jerry Seinfeld. He's in a moon landing car.
He's in the moon.
Something?
He rolls up in the moon rover.
Rover, that's the word. The rover. Yeah. Because it's fake, right? The whole moon landing. I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
So boom, she's there making a liquid. She's like, try this, and he drinks it, and he's like, oh, that's got a tang to it. She's like, that's a good name because it's Tang.
Yeah.
Now, did you know that Tang was made up for the moon landing?
Oh, wait. No. See, now I didn't know this part. I understood the top level reference, not the fact that you're saying it was made for the moon landing.
There were two things that they made. They made Tang, which was, an orange drink. And then they also made space food sticks, which were little food sticks in packages that you could eat.
Oh, okay.
They didn't figure out a way to get that in there. So her who's making up this food, somehow she thinks she's going to be part of the program and go to the moon, I guess. They sort of say that.
They sort of touch on it. It doesn't, nothing that happens in this scene makes any sense.
And so then he's like, no, they're never going to let you go. Come with me. And she's like, I guess I'm just going to go with you. Whatever my big dream that I just said was my big dream, but you said, let's go. Now I'm going.
And we don't work well together and we hate each other. But I'll just quit my dream job and come on down for you.
Now, Marjorie posts, they're testing their Pop-Tarts. The two kids from the dumpster are there. Okay.
Yeah. Because these are the only two kids that like these fruits, by the way. I don't know.
They set fire to the toaster. There's petroleum in it.
Oh, so hold on. This should be the most relatable joke in the whole movie.
Okay.
Burning your Pop-Tarts.
Sure.
Because, oh my God, every time, right?
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter how many times I move that stupid fucking dial. I always burn at least one of them. And I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. But you set it on fire. Like, this should be the easiest joke to make. Everyone has burnt a Pop-Tart. So then you just, you put it over the top. That's great. And then they're like, oh, there's petroleum in it. That's funny. But then they do this weird joke where he puts a thing in there and he gets electrocuted or something. Like, what the hell's happening in this scene? You have a very simple joke that you can make here and everyone will understand it, and you just butcher it. It's so weird.
So boom, we go to the lab. It's a big empty lab where they're going to do the whole thing, as opposed to the lab that they had. Who knows?
Nope.
We talk about the veto system, and we do a little thing that does nothing. Edsel comes in, and then we learn that he's sweet on Marjorie Post. And then you're like, oh, that's what that whole relationship should be about. It should end up with them having sex. No, when we get to that scene, it's beyond painful.
And then, well, listen, Dan, because you have two people that can't act for shit. You know what? I've decided you're wrong about Gaffigan. He can't act.
Well,
there's too much evidence to the contrary right in front of me. I can't remember anything else that's happened.
Well, I'm going to look it up. Because there's something I saw that I liked him.
Look it up.
I don't find him funny.
Of course, we're not arguing that because that's a given. He's not funny. So here's where I get confused, right? I don't understand why they have a relationship.
Who?
For the movie purposes. Who? Post and Kellogg, the heads.
They're hot for each other.
Right. Like, I get how that serves your movie at all. Unless when they were talking about, they must have a man on the inside. It shouldn't just be them like accidentally sharing stuff because they're in love or something. Like that's how it got it. What is the point of them being attracted to each other?
Because then you have like a weird scene where they have sex.
Sure, you get a scene, then that was clearly someone's idea, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect anything else that happens in the movie.
Well, you need to. Well, it doesn't. No, but I mean, if you're writing a real movie, you'd write some stuff in there about it.
That's
like
what I'm saying.
They're competitive with each other. I'm not going to let her do this. I may love her and lust after her.
Exactly.
I'm never. Yes. I'll never.
But they
succumb.
don't do that. So what's the point in this movie for them being together?
Because there's no point in this movie for anything. Because nobody's. Well, it's all like first thoughts, and in a lot of cases, zero thoughts.
Well, I will say the other thing I liked is James Marsden.
That's what I say, Jack LaLanne.
Okay, couldn't remember who that was. When you said that, I was like, that means nothing to me, Dan.
Of course.
I'm going to need real people names because these character names mean nothing to me.
Just say, Tony, we only have about
he's a real
five more pages to go.
Okay, well, we have only gone through 2 of my notes. So we're halfway through my notes.
You were halfway through. Okay, so then they go down to eat some cereal to bond. We have he hired his guy that shot all the the coffee scenes, and so we have sort of sexy scenes of the things. Looks good. And then they're like, Jerry's like, eating and drinking at the same time. That's why this is perfect. We need to recreate this. That's what he says. We need to recreate this.
But you don't.
A Pop-Tart
is not
eating and drinking.
It's not drinking at all.
Then you maybe say, we need to recreate this. But where you're both having a this and a sweet thing and a biscuit, that's what our thingamajigger is. It's about
I don't
two
know.
things that come together. Give us a fucking speech.
Also, and this is just me, I wanted the cereals that they each choose to say something about the character, and I didn't feel like they did. It's
because they're not characters. Okay, now we call up the taste pilots, which are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people / things that are going to work to make them do this. Tom Carvel, the ice cream guy, Steve Schwinn that did Schwinn Bikes, Harold Vaughn, something who did the Sea Monkeys, Chef Boyardee, Jack LaLanne, played by James Marsden, who's the original fitness guy. He's the original fit guy.
I honestly didn't know who he was, and it didn't matter to me because I was just enjoying Marsden having a good time.
Yeah, he had a good time.
He had a great time, and God, that guy looks good still.
Yeah.
Why is he not in more movies? Let Hollywood hire him more. Sonic was so good.
Probably the most charismatic guy in this whole movie.
Yeah, easily.
And the UNIVAC computer. Von Braunhart, the guy that made Sea Monkeys, is a Nazi. No one knows this except maybe 20 or 30 collectors and weird people. I know the number one Sea Monkeys collector in the country, and I've known him forever. And so I knew this just a little bit, barely.
Okay.
So could you look it up online? Sure. But no one in the world knows this information, so it means nothing.
Okay. It means nothing, and it's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really off-putting. They make 2 or 3 Nazi jokes, and I was like, wow, what's happening?
Why are they making Nazi
jokes?
I don't understand.
And okay, I should have looked it up, but I cared so little about this movie at this point that I wasn't gonna. You can't make a reference joke about something that nobody knows. You just can't do it. It doesn't work.
It is a very specific... tiny world joke that you found on Wikipedia, and you're like, isn't that funny? The guy that made Sea Monkeys was a Nazi or whatever, that had some sort of, fascist left-leaning opinions.
Sure. Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
Bobby Moynihan as Chef Boyardee, wasted.
It totally wasted because I do love a nice, this guy doesn't speak English and he just yells in fake Italian. It had to have been fake, I'm assuming. I don't think he was speaking real Italian. And I like that bit. I would have liked more of that bit.
I found it. And Steve Schwinn's played by what's his name, who's very funny.
Yeah.
The Tom Carvel guy, also very funny.
Man.
The milkmen arrived. Edsel gets scared of them. We find out that the milkmen are a syndicate. This should have been the plot of the movie.
Yes. How is this just like a 10-minute detour in your movie and then you like don't deal with it? It's so weird. It's a big, wonderful idea to have the milk syndicate. Like, that's fun. That's really fun, opposed to the rest of the movie that's not fun.
So basically, Big Milk is angry that they're trying to develop a product that doesn't need milk. I'm like a breakfast product. And that's the movie. That's
brilliant.
Actually your movie.
That's like a really good idea. You can make a lot of comparisons to like big oil things. You know what I mean? Like, you can make that matter not only to your movie, but also to us now. There's a lot of great stuff you can do instead of just being like, oh, you know, it'd be funny if there was a milk syndicate and they're like, wow, yeah, but we have so many other things to get to. And it's like, yeah, just mention it a couple times and then we'll be done with it.
Nope. We cut back. We do some stuff with the Univac. We do some stuff with the sea monkeys.
I didn't like the Univac stuff. I didn't ever think that was funny. Didn't land for me.
I like the one. There's one Univac joke I liked. I'll talk about.
Okay, yeah. Tell us about it when we get there.
We go back over to Post. They do a couple times where things are causing butt rashes as if it's a joke. It's weird. Butt rashes.
It is weird, and they mention it in 2 scenes. I think it is, and you know, that's it. It's
just weird. There are a couple of names for the things. Fresh Flatties and Dextrose Dillies. No.
Yeah. I don't even know what, full disclosure, I don't even understand what Dextrose Dillies means.
Dextrose is sugar. It's just another way to say sugar.
Okay. See, didn't even know that word. Yeah. That's on me, I guess, guys.
No, it's not on you.
What's a dilly?
Dilly dally. Doesn't
like
mean
a dilly bar from Dairy Queen? Oh, God, I love those.
Doesn't mean anything. I've never had one of those.
Right.
Then she shoots Max in the eye with a rubber band
with a rubber band. Why? What? Why is that? What?
I don't know.
Okay, great. Great. This is really nice.
Thurl Ravenscroft comes into where they're doing the thing. He says, "I've been promised this space so that I can put on Lear." Nope, we never heard that before.
No, yeah, I don't.
It's like, let me come in with information that you should have known. You know, it's like they needed to set this up. Like,
yep.
He's going to need that for Lear. Oh, he's never going to want to do it. Then he comes in for Lear, and then something happens.
Sure. Yeah. Or just don't do this because this bit didn't work at all.
That bit didn't work, but then the two of them, Stan and Thurl, clash, and they start joking on each other, and I thought the jokes were okay.
Yeah, no, like their name calling was nice and something about patchy mustache. Then he throws it back, same with her. Like, it was just, two people insulting each other. Always fun if you do it well.
Oh, God. Now the 5 cereal families meet. And this is just like weird. They just all sort of yell at each other because they're both working on the same sort of thing.
Well, but also, Dan, the 5 cereal families and then also Jerry Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
He's not the leader of the family. What's he even doing in the room?
Yeah, but I think what's-her-name has her assistant there. Max is there, too.
Oh, was he? He might have been.
Oh, and Stan is there, too.
Oh, and Stan is there, yeah. So it's like the 5 but 3 of the families don't get any members. They have no family members.
I don't know. And Ernie Keebler provided the cookies.
Yeah.
And then Ernie's in the background waving in the shadows.
Yep. And is it a joke because he's little? Is that the joke?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
And so Jerry's character's like, my legacy, my sod. No one laughs because it's not a joke.
Also, why are you talking at a meeting of the 5 families? You're not a head of a family.
So they go, and their big plan is they're going to lock up all of the Cuban sugar. So they go to the big sugar guy, El Sucre. He's dangerous. He talks about tile. He likes entertainment. What's his name comes out and does a fraction of a ventriloquist thing where he makes fun of the tile. So they take him out there and they shoot the dummy. And then they're like, we want to buy all the sugar. And then he's like, okay. And then thanks, we bought all the sugar. Now we leave.
Why? What the hell just happened?
It sets up because the whole movie is trying to set up parallels between this and other things that happened at the time, right?
Sure.
So this is trying to set up the Cuban Missile Crisis. and then the way that they do everything is supposed to be like the space program, right? So the taste guys is like how they, or no, actually that might be like the nuclear bomb program. I don't know. They, just like how they did everything back then. They're all supposed to be parallels to those things, as opposed to them being funny or interesting and tweaked in such a way where you're like, why do you have the Schwinn guy here? It's just weird.
Yeah. None of it made any sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, except for Chef Boyardee, who is a food maker, and it makes sense to have a chef on there.
But you also want the Sea Monkeys guy because he's
a Nazi
affiliated, and then you can make Nazi jokes
in a weird movie. Yeah, that's great. Let's do that.
Post can't make anything because they don't have sugar anymore. We do butt rashes again.
Which is weird because it doesn't have anything to do with not having sugar, right?
Then she hits Max with the typewriter.
Something, yeah.
Big typewriter hits him with the typewriter. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Week 4, the taste pilots. They're all working on shit. It doesn't make any sense. The Chef Boyardee and the Sea Monkey guy have made a ravioli that lives in an aquarium.
Yep. I don't get that's as for a movie that like drops a lot of stuff. They keep that little ravioli around till the very end, and I don't get it.
They love the ravioli; it doesn't go anywhere. Then he's like, this isn't working, so he throws all the stuff out, and then he goes to the dumpster. There, the kids they've invented Rice Krispie treats by putting together heated marshmallows, which. Thing you find in dumpsters. Okay.
Yep. That's a good question. So they
made up Rice Krispie treats, which have been around since the 50s, but whatever.
Oh, wait. Whoa. Hold the phone. You're saying it was invented before this movie took place? Oh, my God. Also, they're so good, though. I love Rice Krispie treats, Dan.
That's when I moved into adulthood.
When you ate a Rice Krispie treat?
No, when you're home. In your house, and I don't know, maybe I was at my parents, maybe I was still living at home with my parents, but I made a whole pan of Rice Krispie treats, and then I ate a whole pan of Rice Krispie treats.
I'm proud of you.
By myself.
Yeah, good for you, Dan.
That's when you know you're an adult.
Oh, God, I love them. Do you ever do the Rice Krispie treats with a layer of chocolate on top?
Not typically, because you can't improve. I don't think you can improve on Rice Krispie treats.
Okay, I can understand that notion, but just bear with me for a minute, though, because then you have a Rice Krispie treat, and then you put a nice layer of melted milk chocolate on top, and then it solidifies, and you got 2 different textures. Oh, my God, it's so good.
The key to making Rice Krispie treats is use butter, first of all, and use extra butter.
Extra butter, yeah. Cream. It makes them like smoother, probably. That's what it sounds like. Oh man, now I'm hungry. We got to wrap this episode up. I'm getting hungry.
We only have about an hour to go.
All right.
So then, because the kids have combined 2 things to make a thing, he's like, "Oh, just combine everything," and so it's going to be self-sealing. It's going to have a name. It's going to be the size of it's going to have holes in it because of the punch card of Univac.
Yeah.
And then Schwinn means toaster, and then they've solved it.
Yeah.
This is the solving of it, which is not how you solve a product, but he just...
Well, also, they would have had to reverse engineer that, and they could have made it make more sense.
It's like the problem of the whatever. This is just so stupid. They have a twist. They do the twist, and they all do a twist party. And then the ravioli, he refers to it as now it's a real boy, and then it escapes and it goes into the walls.
What? Like what?
It's in the walls. What? Did you expect it to grow?
Yeah, I mean it has to grow, right? It has to mutate and grow.
And then they have to fight it at the end somehow.
Yeah,
right.
But nope. Yeah, it's just in his pocket. So I don't understand.
Post goes to Russia, sees Nikita Khrushchev. Pitches him on like Borscht loops and Kremlin things and Count Vodkula, and then it becomes a deal, and Max has to eat some of the stuff, and it's poison. It's going to kill him for what reason I don't understand. He's bleeding from the nose, and then he wants to have sex with Marjorie Post, but they still get it, and he doesn't have sex with her. He was going to have sex with Max, but none of that happens because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild scene that I don't get it.
But so they're going to get sugar from Cuba, so that's whatever.
Russia.
Cuba.
Wait.
Cuba.
Cuba's the old one.
Oh, no, they didn't go to Cuba. Who did they go to?
They went to Russia.
No. Who did our other guys go to? Where did Kellogg's go?
Yeah, the heroes went to Cuba, right? I think. Yeah. Yeah, you had it right the first time.
Well, how are they getting... But where's the sugar coming up from Russia? I thought it was coming from Cuba. Isn't El Sucre... I don't know. I'm confused now. Whatever. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Boom. The milkmen kidnap Bob. They say, there's no cereal business without us. And we're like, well, we kind of expected all this. Didn't we already sort of know that things were coming down? So basically, they're like, there's no cereal business without us. We're going to punish you by making you walk down the aisle where the cows are, and the cows fart on him. So he gets farted on by the cows, and I assume pissed on and shit on. So he gets home and he can't wash it off.
But then it's washed off.
Well, no. Then they come to Stu and Edsel come to see him, and then they're like, I didn't pay. Edsel's like, I didn't pay for the sugar fast enough, so they gave me diabetes.
What?
Here's a brochure about diabetes.
What? What? I need you to explain it, Dan, because I didn't understand that one bit.
Okay, then he's all like,
it's not how diabetes works.
Well, what's the brochure and I don't understand. Okay, and then he's like, no one cares about a stupid breakfast rectangle. Here comes the copter. It's from the president. Jerry Seinfeld's not allowed to change, so they go to the president, and they're waiting there, and then he comes in, and he's wearing Taft's old suit because that's all they had. And this is the joke you have to explain to me.
Uh-oh.
Got Taft's suit, they pull it out, there's a Baby Ruth bar, a half-eaten Baby Ruth bar in the pocket. And then I think he's going to eat it, and then Melissa McCarthy's character says, chew it slowly, that's history.
I don't know. That sounds like a joke that you need to explain to me, being that you were around when Taft was president.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah!
Then
I don't know. Did he famously eat half candy bars?
Why do you have to chew it slowly? Because it's historic.
Did he choke? How did he die? Maybe he died on a Baby Ruth. Maybe he choked and died, and that's the other half of his Baby Ruth.
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe he choked to death. Maybe Mama cast it, and so you have to eat slowly because history tells us you got to eat slowly, or you'll die.
It doesn't. It just says he died of poor health. I don't know what that means.
So in comes Bill Burr as Kennedy. He's a great Kennedy. He's hilarious. Basically, all of the lines he's given are mostly garbage. Post is working with the Ruskies. You have to win. And so the idea is, since they're working with the communists, the Kellogg's thing has to win. And then he's like, they do ask not what I can do for you, what you can do for me, whatever. And so then they're like, can you have Bobby Kennedy go after the milk guys, go after organized milk? And he's like, okay, we'll do it. So that's how they're dealing with. That's how the milk plot line could just completely go away. Is Bobby Kennedy just takes care of it.
Dumb. I guess. So my question is that like how he did things? Did Bobby kill people?
Bobby Kennedy was the head. Was the attorney general, and so it definitely was some weird stuff because the mob got Kennedy elected. So.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Is that a conspiracy theory or is that a real thing? Real. Wow. Okay. Listen, history's not my thing, right? So this was not a great movie for me to watch because they don't do a good job of explaining what they're making fun of. But okay, interesting stuff.
This movie's the thing that proves that my thing is not always right. My thing was like, you can make jokes about anything and people will get them. But the jokes have to be jokes and they have to be funny.
Yes. Well, like in order to work contextually, I have to at least understand what you're going for.
See, you understood the idea of the organized milk. You understood that because it's a real joke and it's a good joke that Bobby Kennedy. Right. You just don't know that Bobby Kennedy did go after organized crime at the time.
Exactly.
And that's not necessary for you to think that
it's
that's
not
funny.
necessary for everything except for that one part of the joke. And it's like, okay, I mean, I'm not going to get that. Other people will get that. That's fine. That's okay because I get the general joke of it.
Yep.
You know?
Because it's a good joke. The idea that
a good joke.
He's getting the Attorney General to go after organized milk.
Right.
And that is a way the president will help you lessen that burden.
Again, it should just be the main plot of the movie. But that's cool, man.
So then what breaks up their meeting with Kennedy?
I have no idea.
The Doublemint twins are here to see you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Whoa.
What does that mean?
Well, double your pleasure, double your fun.
Why are the Doublemint twins going to the president?
Well, was he like a serial cheater?
Yeah, he was.
All right, so I mean, I guess maybe that's the joke.
Weird.
It's super weird. I guess were the twins like a real thing?
It was a commercial thing. It was for commercials.
Okay. Yeah, I don't, because they're wearing like the outfit, like the spearman outfits. I don't know. It's super weird.
JFK had sex with Marilyn Monroe.
I do. Yeah, no, I do remember hearing that.
Okay.
Well done.
Thurl's at a bar, drowning his sorrows. The milkmen came in there and sort of turned Thurl against Kellogg's even more. Okay.
Good old Christian Slater.
Cronkite does an X-ray specs bit. We have this weird
I didn't even get
bunker test where they're testing one. And it goes well, but then Steve Schwinn pulls out his hose, which has flammable gas, and then we blow up Steve Schwinn.
Yeah.
So we kill Steve Schwinn.
Why? Why?
I mean, there was a thing in the Apollo program where some guys burned up to death in their rocket, I think.
Okay. So that's a fun thing to make fun of. Maybe that's the
allusion to them burning up some astronauts, because he was dressed as an astronaut. So yeah, I guess it's about burning some astronauts to death.
Yeah, I don't know if I think that's a funny joke.
It wasn't funny, but it leads to leads to the best scene of the whole movie.
Is that Ronnie Chang?
No,
it's
not Ronnie Chang.
Okay, because I do like when Ronnie Chang comes out.
Oh, Ronnie Chang
and
does come out.
They think it's Steve at first, and then he's like, "Oh no, it's me. He died horribly." I don't know. So whatever he says, that was funny to me.
His one line he got to deliver as a joke, and it was a joke.
Yeah, well, he's very funny. I like him a lot.
Okay, you want to talk about the funeral, the greatest scene in the movie?
Oh, this is your greatest scene in the movie, huh? Okay. I mean, I don't remember a whole lot other than. Oh no, I did laugh.
Oh, you laughed.
Hold on, I did laugh at this scene. Okay. I did laugh at this scene. I'm just remembering it now. So I don't remember anything that happens before they start the service burial, where they start pouring the milk and the cereal in.
I'll do the whole scene.
Yeah, so you set it up, and I'll get to that
Snap, crackle, and pop play bagpipes.
Right, because they're Scottish.
I don't know. The Quaker guy does. The Quaker guy starts the eulogy.
Yeah.
Tony the Tiger does. Steve was great.
Right.
So Steve Schwinn gets full serial honors, full honors for honors, and then someone says, "What is happening?" Oh,
that's his
wife says, "What is this happening?" Yeah. And then she turns to Jerry and she's like, "Did you plan this?" And what does he say? I don't know.
I don't know. This did make me giggle.
I hate that. Like,
you should hate it because it doesn't make any sense and has no business in any movie ever. But the fact that I don't even know, like I assume he just didn't write. He was like, I don't know why we're doing this. And that was what his answer was to her. In my mind, Jerry Seinfeld's like, I don't know, this scene's really crazy. There's no way to explain it. So it'll be funny if someone asks me about it and I'm like, I don't know.
We're just doing this.
Yeah.
Toucan Sam comes out singing Ave Maria. Then they start pouring milk and cornflakes into the thing, and people are cutting fruit into the
That's what made me laugh. So they do cereal, then they do milk, and then they cut to a woman sobbing, cutting up a banana and putting it. That part made me laugh. I was like, yeah, that's attention to detail. Because people cut up fruit and put in their cereal. That's funny.
Now they come out with a Cracker Jack prize package, which they're acting like is a flag, which they fold up, and they give it to her, and then she leaves, and they're like, she's upset. And then Melissa McCarthy's like, she'll get over it, or not.
Yeah, she'll get over it, or she won't, and she'll live with the loss or something like. And I was like, okay, what?
So the mascots meet. They say they're...
Yeah, and then we're done. And then we just move on.
Yeah, yep. Whatever. The mascots meet, and they're like, they're phasing us out. We got to go on strike. Okay. We do a whole thing. Then they drive into town. Then they see people watching a TV. They get out, and then we talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis in terms of the sugar. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then Edsel post meet, and they release the sugar, and then they're dancing the twist. They're getting along, and then the ravioli breaks it up.
First of all, Jim Gaffigan can't do the twist.
Whatever.
He can't. So here's what's weird, and maybe this was the joke.
Yeah.
And I just didn't understand it. But earlier in the movie, when they do the twist party.
Yeah.
Somebody is talking about how the twist is like the ultimate act of sexual desire for a woman because the independent movement of your hips and shoulders, they move in opposite directions. Yes. Apparently that's very sexy.
Someone does say that.
But then Jim Gaffigan can't do that, and his shoulders and hips are going the same direction for the whole scene. So I just don't think he's got the lumbar flexibility to do it. So either they're doing that as a joke, or they set him up for failure, which to me is even funnier. But it's just really weird because it's your movie.
See, the thing I like is that you think that someone could say Jim Gaffigan do the twist correctly or Jim Gaffigan do the twist incorrectly, as opposed to Jim Gaffigan just do something, whatever.
Just dance a little. Just dance a little. I don't know. Super weird. Yeah, and then the ravioli is there. I don't know, man.
That busts it up. Boom, now we do the Mad Men thing. The two guys from Mad Men come in there, and they pitch them on this adult version of Pop-Tarts.
Very sexy. I would have bought Pop-Tarts all over the place.
And the one guy's like, I've been in your town 6 hours, and what do I see? Dead trees and sad women.
Yep.
See,
we haven't seen any of those.
I've never watched Mad Men. Maybe that's a big callback to that show, but... That's not funny.
I watched it when it aired, and that doesn't ring any bells. Like them being hypersexual and aggressive,
I like that.
Right. No, I don't know. Plus, we don't see that at all because everything we see is very colorful, very green. Everything is alive. Yep. I don't know.
And then Jerry's like, why are they so mean to us? And I'm like, were they that mean to them? I don't know.
No, they weren't. They should have been, but they weren't.
Yeah. And then Melissa and what's his name do a little bit of sparring.
Have a
and
moment.
You're like, oh wow, there's Melissa McCarthy got to be funny for like just seconds, and then it disappears.
Yeah, which is, and again, it's probably the writing. That's fine. It just happens to be good. But it seems to me whenever she has scenes with people that can really act, she's better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so.
And through the whole movie, she puts all the food that's left around in her pockets. That was her character.
Yeah. Which I thought was going to somehow come back where like they needed something. She's like, I've got some right now, but it doesn't. Or it would have been great at some point if she just pulled out Pringles out of her purse, right, Dan? That's a Ghostbusters callback. You don't remember that? She pulls out Pringles?
You think I'm ever going to forget that stupid joke?
And then she eats the Pringles? That's a funny joke.
But that wasn't Melissa McCarthy that did that. That was what's her name?
Well, sure. I mean, it was, but it's still
Melissa McCarthy's not going to steal a joke that didn't work from another movie.
First of all, that joke nailed it. Home run. That's a grand slam.
That joke kills every time. Okay, so they bring the two kids back in because they got to name the product. And what is the kid's first question? We need to know the pectin content.
Yeah.
Why would a kid ask what the pectin content is?
I don't know the answer to that because I don't know what pectin is.
It's like something in fruit.
I feel part of me feels like I have to read the Pop-Tarts ingredients list to even understand some of the jokes they're making.
That's the idea.
Movie.
They have the box sitting there, and they're like,
right.
Pectin Gondit, here comes
this
the
one.
joke.
Here's one. Let's put that in there. It's not a joke.
It's a reference, and they consider a reference to be equal to it. Reference equals joke.
Yeah. Although this is the other part of the movie that I laughed at, so I'm excited.
The kid goes over to the butt massager. He gets a candy necklace caught in it, and then they save him. Then he's blurry, and he looks up at the thing, and he's like, the first letters of all the things on this thing, that's what it's called. And the name they come up with is Trat Pop. And they're all like, I like it. It's like a code name. This is a good name. Trat Pop.
No one would ever think that's a good name.
You said you liked something about this.
At some point, I thought this was the scene where the kid gets upset and he's like, why are you yelling at me? Like my dad! Which is the best line of the whole movie.
There it is. Did not write it down.
All right. Well, there you go.
They do a Trat Pop commercial. The commercial is pretty good and actually sold the stupid name pretty well. Yep. Here, the FDA representative is coming. They fired the mascot, and now the mascots are protesting. Right. This is one of the most painful things in the movie. We do a whole January 6th thing with him as the shaman. And we get this one joke where he's like, they called us felt hobos. What does that mean?
It means nothing. And they didn't say it.
So the FDA guy, Punts, played by Fred Armisen, is coming there to give it FDA approval.
Which is just a taste test? Is that?
That's what they make it seem like. It's a taste test.
Which I don't think is quite. I don't think that's how it works. To be honest,
FDA approval is. Nope, not what FDA approval is. It's not a guy who doesn't come to your office and taste them and go, "Yep, that works."
Pretty good. Let's sell it.
They attack, but Jerry Seinfeld forces the rubber stamp, and so they get to the room,
which is also weird.
And they're like, "Well, we didn't beat the federal approval, so we lose."
Yep. And then they just leave.
Cronkite, there for his final thing, talks about the riot at Kellogg's. He's using silly putty. He puts it on the thing, and it flips Trat Pop and turns it into Pop-Tart, and that's where the name come from. Because they hear him say that, and they're all like, that's not a good name. And then the secretary's like, that's a good name. And then they're like, that's a good name.
That is a good name.
And then they're like, but it is too close to Andy Warhol's pop art, which supposedly they did. That was one of the reasons that they used that.
Okay.
But they're like, whatever. So then the trucks go out. And we have the General Mills product, which is called Country Squares, which I guess they did release a product called Country Squares.
Is that okay?
I've never.
Yeah, I have no idea.
This is news to me. And then Pop-Tarts, and then Pop-Tarts did better.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
And the sales numbers come in, and they're happy. And then Jim Gaffigan gets to say the great line, "We got to the moon, the breakfast moon."
Yeah.
What?
I don't know.
And then
I don't know what it means.
One of them says, we could add frosting to them, because the first ones were just all plain. And then they're both like, nope, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're idiots.
Yeah. So there's a couple of jokes that I mean, I don't remember, but I remember noticing them. There's a couple of jokes about like the future, right? I love when shows and movies do that. I think that's very funny to look at things that they know will happen and pretend, know. Gallivant does that, which is a show that I love. Sure. And they talk about the zipper on pants because they're all urinating and it's hard back in the day. And it's like, what if we had something that had interlocking teeth and we could just take out, and they're like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And it's funny, right? Like those can be very funny when you do it right. This is just weird.
It's just weird.
It just doesn't make any sense. There's not even a reason for them not wanting. How could frosting make anything worse? Please, somebody tell me a situation where frosting makes something worse.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a thing.
Oh boy.
If you get a cupcake that's like about this big, and then there's this much frosting on it, no, that's too much frosting.
Dan, I'm gonna call bullshit right now because
the frosting the cupcake quotient should be about like this. It should be.
So you want like a 50%?
No.
You want like a 50% ratio?
20 to 25 at the most.
Oh, Dan, you're making me sad.
Too much frosting.
I love a nice heap. I want to bite into a cupcake and have frosting on the top of my nose. That's how much frosting I want my nose to bury in it, and I have to blow my nose to get frosting out of it. That's how much I like frosting.
Too much frosting. Okay, now we do the epilogues for everybody. Chef Boyardee and the Sea Monkeys guy raise the ravioli.
Yeah, what?
Anybody's a rebellious teen. Univac goes to Vietnam. We get this one shot of Univac coming out of the swamp with the gun. I like that. I thought that was funny.
Sure.
That's funny to me. The milkman killed JFK. Marjorie Post went on to be a great person, and then she built Mar-a-Lago.
Which apparently is true. It says that's true.
It's true.
So I guess that's interesting, but they didn't make a joke about it.
Well, no, the idea is Mar-a-Lago. That's a thing that we know what it is now because of Trump.
Right, but that's not a joke.
No, it's
Dan.
a joke because reference equals joke.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Stan goes hippie and makes up granola.
Yeah, what?
Bob gets his sod.
No, don't skate past it because she has a relative character, and then this is not her character.
And then Bob goes on. Bob goes on Johnny Carson. Andy Warhol comes out of the audience, shoots Bob, but it doesn't get him because he had Pop-Tarts in his thing, and they had a titanium metal package
wrapper or something. Yeah.
Okay, Tony.
I love Dan Levy so much. That was not good.
That's not a joke you can make. That is not a joke you can make. Do you know what the truth of that is?
I don't know what the truth of that is.
Andy Warhol, when he was back in his factory days, one of the people that hung around there, I can't think of her name, Valerie something, I think, came in there and shot Andy Warhol and caused him a bunch of internal damage, shot him in the side, I think, and caused him all sorts of issues and fucked up his life. And they made a joke about it. Like what the fuck?
Not only did they make a joke about it, but they made the joke Andy's the one that's doing it. Like, that's even weirder.
He was someone attempted to assassinate him. Yeah. And that's a joke? I mean, in addition to the milkman killed JFK joke, it's just like, and this is like stupid ass Jerry Seinfeld doing this whole woke comedy. We can't make the jokes we need to make anymore. And you're like, you're making offensive jokes
and they're not good.
They're not funny either.
I don't mind offensive jokes if they're done well. And I find, Anthony Jeselnik is all about offensive jokes, and I love him. I think he's hilarious. Sure. You have to do it right.
There's room to make offensive jokes. This is just like, it's not a joke. Well, first of all, it wasn't a joke. Andy Warhol shot me because I stole the pot. No, whatever.
No.
Okay, boom, we go back to the kid in the diner. The parents show up, and the kid is like, I'm not believing your story. And we find out why he ran away from home is because mom wouldn't get him X-ray specs.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the kid sees the ravioli in Jerry Seinfeld's pocket here, and that's how he knows it was all true.
Yeah. Terrible movie, Dan.
It's a terrible movie.
Okay, because before you were like, oh, it's okay. No, it's not. It's bad.
I don't hate the movie. It's a terrible movie.
Oh, I see. I'm disappointed because I think that there was a lot of room to be much, much, much better than
you had access to every great comedian in the world, and this is what you made?
Yeah, bad stuff. Tough stuff.
Like, make some jokes. Find some real jokes.
Pass.
Trat Pop.
Next.
Trat Pop. Yes, that's a great name. That means you're not good at your job. It's not a good name. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Tony.
Yes.
You should like and subscribe to this video.
Oh, I will. I promise you. I'll like and subscribe to your channel, Dan.
What'd you like this week?
Well, I watched two things I'd like to talk about. First is the thing that I did like. We watched Taika Waititi's movie Next Goal Wins.
Oh, how is it?
With Michael Fassbender. We loved it. We thought it was super fun.
Everybody hates that movie.
No. It was pretty fun.
It's hateable.
And it gets emotional.
I bet it does.
Which you don't really see coming, as much. Oh. But yeah, we really enjoyed it.
It's your classic sports, whatever kind of movie. So I would hope it gets emotional.
Well, sure.
Those movies are great. That's a tried and tested true thing, and everyone hated him for making that movie. And you're just like, why?
I don't know, because I thought it was quite delightful.
I think they were expecting it to be some other movie as opposed to one of those movies. And you're like, yes, the man has made brilliant movies, but it didn't seem like that was going to be like he wasn't breaking filmmaking and putting it back together with that movie.
No, just making, a nice sports movie. And there's a couple of nice messages in there, which probably garnered some hate as well. Oh. Some wonderful trans representation in there, which I'm sure got some backlash. Sure. It's nice. It's a really good movie. We enjoyed it a lot.
Okay.
And then the other thing is I have started rewatching Seinfeld because since we were doing this movie, I was like, I'm going to go back and see if Seinfeld was any good. And it's not. I just don't really like Seinfeld.
Oh, did you like it before?
I mean, let me rephrase. Yeah. I don't hate the show. Sure. I think it's a fine show. I think there's some very funny moments. I think the biggest problem with Seinfeld is Jerry Seinfeld. Ooh. He can't act. Never could, never will. He's bad. And he's the one thing that saves Seinfeld is he's surrounded by a wonderful cast. Sure. Right? Jason Alexander, they're unbelievable, right? What's the Kramer's name? Michael something or another. Sure. They're all really good, and he has people to lift him up around him. And in this movie, he hired a bunch of people that can't act for shit for the rest of the main characters,
or at least the way that it was all processed. You didn't end up with acting.
They needed to, yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like the director has to get that out of the people. And I'm sure they just came in there and were like, I'm here for a day. Let's do it. He's like, here's those lines you wrote there. I'm doing those lines. Line. Oh, great. Cut. You're good. Because he directed it. And it's like, the director has to take equal amount of punishment for the lack of good performances.
For sure. 100%.
Because Christian Slater was in there acting. And Dinklage was in there acting, and you were like, "Oh, they're acting." That's because they 100%. Because they walk on the set,
and that's why it's so hard. Yeah, and you can feel the difference between it in the same movie, and that's what makes it so hard for me. But anyhow, so yeah, I don't dislike Seinfeld, but I feel like what holds Seinfeld back from me is Jerry itself. And if they had hired an actor that could do comedy instead, I think the show would be much, much, much better.
Well, he doesn't care. It's like it's kind of similar to what happens with Sandler.
Sure. Yeah,
Sandler gets into those movies and he can act and he can do stuff.
Yeah.
But when he doesn't care, he doesn't act and he doesn't do stuff.
That is correct.
And Jerry, I don't think has ever really cared and does not want to put any vulnerability or anything out there that's real.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
And that's what you get.
That is what you get. What do you got, Dan?
We watched this show called Woman of the Dead. It's one of these Scandinavian crime thriller whatevers.
Oh boy. Okay.
And it goes places that it's like American, we're talking about it. It's like American shows. You're like, well, they're going to worry about their family, they're going to worry about their family overdoing stuff. And she does stuff in this show. And you're just like, oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
What a treat.
So it's, I don't know where we watched it, on Hulu or someplace, Amazon Prime or something. But it's like 6 episodes, and I think it was 6 episodes. Okay. And the cool thing is you're like, based on a trilogy of books, and they're working on the second one now. You're like, yeah, maybe I want more of this.
All right.
And it was,
but you were saying that it's subtitled.
It's subtitled, and it's interesting because it's like people in the Scandinavians have all these Scandinavian voices and things, and you're like. Yeah. Then we started another one that was dubbed, and we literally turned it off of turned it off after like 5 lines of dialogue because it's just not the same.
It's not the same. I get that.
The acting in the voices combined with the words is beyond important. You can't just have a person go like, knock, knock, we're the police. We're here to see what you're doing. It's just not, it's gone. You need, contrary to popular belief, actors are important in movies.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
And it's going to be interesting to see when they make some of these AI movies, and use...
Well, they're coming, Dan, so get ready.
And they use AI actors, and you're just like, no, can't watch this.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be just fucking horrible. So, Tony, I think it's your turn to pick a movie because... Oh, I guess I picked Unfrosted, didn't I? So, of course, it's your turn.
You did, you picked Unfrosted, and we really lucked out because do you know what dropped this week?
No.
It is Ghostbusters Frozen World or whatever the fuck this movie's called. So that dropped on VOD this week. So that's what we get to watch.
I absolutely did not know that dropped. I had zero because you were like, we got one for you. And I was like, I have no idea.
We got a good one.
Did they slip Craven in there? Just
just straight to video for Craven. No, we'll get that later though. And I can't wait.
How long ago was this in theaters? Like 3 weeks ago?
I mean, not too long ago, right? But this year's going fast, Dan. The year's going really fast.
Year goes fast.
But next week we get to watch Ghostbusters. Very excited.
What are you gonna bust? Ghostbusters.
So
we did the first one of these. Have we done? We've never done any other Ghostbusters. We never did.
We did the Lady Ghostbusters. And then, which is a great movie, should never have been done on this podcast. And then we did Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Sure,
is that what the first one's called?
Frozen Afterlife, Frozen Afterbirth. Sorry, that's rude.
And this is what Frozen Empire, I think.
Like that.
So we're doing it. It's great. It's great news.
Franchise my dreams.
Amen.
Okay, so we'll be back talking about Ghostbusters next week. You all have a good week, and we'll see you then.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, watch it!